I woke up inside an urban power fantasy novel. As the wealthy third-generation villain courting death, the book made it painfully clear. 6 months later, his family would be destroyed. I looked down at my bank cards, then at the publicly listed company under my name, and smiled. Fight all you want. I am cashing out first. The red wine in my glass swayed. I stared at my hand, pale, slender, the knuckles sharply defined. The nails were neatly trimmed and spotless. A black agate ring circled the middle finger. This was not my hand. My hand should have had calluses, worn there from endless overtime at a keyboard. There should have been instant noodle seasoning under the nails. Young Master Lin, why are you not moving? Someone beside me nudged me, and I looked up. I saw an unfamiliar face, round and plump, smiling all over. A strip of Rolex band showed beneath his suit cuff. That Zhu Yang is sitting right across from us. Didn't you say you were going to teach Zhu Yang a lesson tonight? The name stabbed into my brain like a needle, piercing loose a string of memory fragments. Not my memories. Memories from a book. In my last life, if you could call it that. I was a corporate drone on a 996 work schedule. 2 hours commuting every day. Lunch finished in 15 minutes. My only entertainment was scrolling novels before bed. What was the last one called? His comeback begins with humiliation by a rich heir. The male lead was Zhu Yang, a grassroots entrepreneur, constantly tormented by Lin Shen, the Lin family's rich heir. In the end, he turned the tables and tore the Lin family apart. Lin Shen was the name of the body I now occupied. Slowly, I turned to look across the table. A young man sat there in a dark gray suit. His hair was swept back, his features sharp. The glass in front of him had not been touched. He was speaking softly to someone beside him, his gaze steady, neither humble nor arrogant. This was Chapter 3, the Chamber of Commerce Banquet. Lin Shen got drunk and walked over with a glass, splashed red wine in Zhu Yang's face, and said, "A poor nobody like you thinks you deserve to sit here from then on." Zhu Yang made Lin Shen the first person he would settle accounts with. The glass in my hand happened to be full. "Young Master Lin." The plump man urged me again, his eyes eager. I recognized him, a character from the book Zhou Kai. Lin Shen's lackey, the kind who specialized in fanning the flames from the side. "Young Master Lin, how about I go toast him first and find an excuse?" I set the glass down, very gently. The base touched the table with a faint click. "No need." Zhou Kai froze. I stood and straightened my cuffs. Then I picked up the glass and walked around the table towards Zhu Yang. Every gaze at the table followed me. Zhu Yang looked up at me. His eyes changed in an instant, from calm to wary, his shoulders tightening slightly, like a cheetah scenting danger in the grass. The book had said it. Zhu Yang's instincts were razor sharp. He was waiting for me to throw the wine. I raised my glass. "Mr. Zhu." My voice settled. The room went quiet for a beat. "I have heard a lot about you," I said. "I hear your new energy project has secured its 3rd round of financing. Congratulations." I offered my glass. I made a toasting gesture. Zhu Yang did not move. He stared at me, as if I were an unsolvable math problem. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. Then he reached out and picked up his glass. He lightly clinked it against mine. "Young Master Lin, you are too kind." His voice was neither warm nor cold. I drank the wine in my glass. I nodded to him, turned, and walked back. Zhou Kai's mouth hung open for ages. "Young Master Lin, didn't you say the wine was pretty good?" I said, as I sat down. I cut a piece of steak and ate. Zhou Kai looked as if someone had unplugged him. I ignored him. My attention was on someone else, diagonally across from me. A man in a dark blue suit, young, and watching me the whole time. His features bore some resemblance to mine. A gentle smile hung at the corner of his mouth, but the light in his eyes was iced over. Lin Huanyu, my older cousin, the book's hidden final boss. In the original story, every time Lin Shen acted on impulse and caused trouble, this cousin's shadow was behind it. He handed over the knife, did the inciting, and once Lin Shen and Zhu Yang had both bled each other dry, he would pick up everything the Lin family left behind. He smiled at me. He raised his glass in greeting. I smiled back. I put the steak in my mouth and chewed twice. The fat from the hot plate burst between my teeth. The flavor was so rich it tasted bitter. How much did this meal cost? I had no idea. But I did know this. If the original plot kept going, then 6 months later, my 10-digit bank balance would become 0. The publicly listed company under my name would be carved apart by Zhu Yang, piece by piece. My dad would be so furious he would end up hospitalized, and I myself would be sent to a detention center, watching from behind bars as Lin Huanyu took over everything. After finishing the steak, I wiped my mouth. I clinked glasses with a few senior business figures nearby, made small talk about the weather and golf, and left early. The driver took me home in a Maybach. Was a detached villa, with a private pool and an underground garage. 5 sports cars sat in the garage. I could not even identify all the models. After closing the bedroom door, I sat on the edge of the bed and took out my phone. First, I opened the banking app. Balance, 3,847,261,008. 3.8 for 7 billion. I drew in a breath. Then I opened notes and began making a list. First, stay away from Zhou. Second, turn every sellable asset into cash. Third, handle immigration. Fourth, run. My fingers tapped the screen a few times, then stopped. I added one more line. Fifth, be careful of Huanyu. I put down the phone and lay flat on the 6.5-foot wide bed, staring at the crystal chandelier on the ceiling. In my last life, I even had to change the living room light bulb in my rented place myself. In this life, I was sleeping on top of a gold mine that could explode at any moment. The difference was that light bulb in my last life would not kill me. I rolled over and buried my face in the pillow. The silk pillowcase lay cool against my skin. Fine. I muttered into it. Fight fate? Fight the protagonist? What? Am I insane? Run, whenever you can. If I cannot run, then I will deal with it. At 7 the next morning, when the alarm rang, I nearly rolled off the bed. Not because I was sleepy, because I had a dream. I dreamed Zhu Yang was standing at the Lin family's front gate, with a row of men in black behind him, holding a court summons and saying to me, Lin Shen, everything you have ends here. It was the exact line from chapter 123 of the original novel. I sat on the edge of the bed, catching my breath for half a minute. Barefoot, I walked into the bathroom. The face in the mirror was 26 years old, with handsome, well-proportioned features, and the original owner's particular arrogance between the brows and eyes. I tried pulling the corners of my mouth down, forcing out a modest smile. The person in the mirror looked like he was plotting something nasty. Forget it. A face is born that way. No changing it. After washing up, I changed into casual clothes and went downstairs. The butler had already prepared breakfast: fresh ground coffee, avocado toast, soft-boiled eggs, and a small dish of caviar. I ate 2 bites of toast, then opened my phone and searched through the original owner's memories. Not literally searched. After transmigrating, I did have the original owner's memories, but they were blurry, as if seen through frosted glass. I could only fill in the blanks with the original plot. The key points from the first 5 chapters. 1. The wine splash at the Chamber of Commerce banquet. I had already dodged that last night. 2. Calling off the engagement with Suwon. The original owner had a fiancée named Suwon. She was the daughter of a scholarly family, bound to him by a childhood betrothal between their families. The original owner ordered her around and treated her like nothing. Later, Zhu Yang and Suwon met. The original owner went mad with jealousy and forced Suwon to become a hostage, enraging Zhu Yang completely. 3. Publicly humiliating Zhu Yang's project team at the industry summit, triggering the second wave of revenge. 4. Being pushed by Lin Huanyu to poach key employees from Zhu Yang's company, triggering a full corporate war. 5. No. I was done thinking about it. The more I looked, the more my head hurt. Every path led to death. After breakfast, I had the driver take me to the company. Ling Group headquarters stood in the core area of the CBD. The whole building had 43 floors, and the top floor was my office. The elevator doors opened. Qin Feng was already waiting at the entrance. Qin Feng, the original owner's private assistant, was in his 20s. He wore gold-rimmed glasses and spoke with flawless precision. In the original novel, he was one of the few people loyal to Lin Shen to the very end. So loyal he followed the original owner into the detention center. Mr. Lin, today's schedule. He handed over a printed itinerary. I scan it. 10 o'clock. Business talks with the representative from Zhu Yang's company. 2 in the afternoon. A family dinner with the Su family. Cancelled at 10 o'clock, I said. Qin Feng pushed up his glasses. Mr. Lin, you personally scheduled this meeting last week. Cancel it, and cancel the 2 o'clock as well. But help me arrange a private meeting with Suwon. 3 this afternoon. Anywhere quiet. A crack appeared in Qin Feng's expression. Mr. Lin, you and Miss Su meeting alone. Is there a problem? It is not a problem. It is just that the last time you met Miss Su, you made her cry. That was the original owner's brilliant work. Not this time. I sat in the office chair and turned halfway around. Go handle it. Qin Feng left, and I opened the computer. I started looking up overseas property information. New Zealand, Portugal, Singapore. While I was searching, my phone rang. The contact name on the screen was Cousin Lin Huanyu. I answered, Shen. Why did you leave early last night? His voice was gentle, with just the right amount of concern. I was a little tired. By the way, about next week's industry summit. Have you thought about how to arrange it? Here it came, in the original novel. It was at this very summit that Lin Huanyu pushed the original owner into making a scene. Not yet. I have an idea, he said with a laugh. Zhu Yang's new energy project is looking for partners. We can pretend to make contact first, get his business plan, and then what? Brother Huanyu? The other end of the line went quiet for a second. I do not want to touch anything involving Zhu Yang lately, I said. You know how much momentum he has right now. There is no need. You are afraid of him? I cannot be bothered to waste time on him. Another second of silence. Fine. Lin Huanyu's tone did not change. It was still just as gentle. Tell me when you have thought it through. After hanging up, I placed the phone face down on the desk. Lin Huanyu, this man, appeared fewer than 10 times in the original novel from beginning to end. Every appearance was brief, and every one seemed reasonable. He never acted directly. He was only responsible for saying one sentence at the crucial moment, offering one idea, handing over one knife, then watching someone else bleed. By the day the Lin family collapsed, he would be standing on the ruins, catching everything that fell. Shares, clients, connections, the company, all of it. What I needed to do was not defeat him. Defeating him was Zhu Yang's job. I had only one thing to do. Before the building came down, walk out the side door with the money. At 3 in the afternoon, I met Suwan in the tea room of a private club. She sat by the window in a cream-colored dress, her hair tucked behind her ear. When she saw me walk in, her whole back went rigid. She looked ready to bristle at any moment. Have a seat. I sat down across from her. She said nothing. Her fingers rubbed the handle of her teacup. I looked at her for 2 seconds, then sighed. Suwan, I came today because there is something I want to tell you. Her fingers tightened, calling off the engagement. The teacup nearly tipped over. Suwan's eyes flew wide open, staring at me, as if trying to confirm whether her ears had malfunctioned. What did you say? Calling off the engagement. I said it again. This marriage was arranged by the previous generation. You do not want it, and I do not care either. There is no need to keep dragging each other down. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Several seconds later, she spoke, her voice trembling slightly. What trick are you playing? No trick. Last month, you said if the Su family wanted to call off the engagement, I would have to kneel and beg you. That was the original owner talking. I rubbed my temple. Treat everything I said before as hot air. I said, from today on, you are free. You do not have to return the betrothal gifts. Consider them my gift to you. If there are any documents I need to sign, have Qinfeng contact you. Suwan stared at me for a long time. Her eyes reddened. Not the redness of sadness, but the redness of someone who had held on too long and was finally released. Lin Shen, she said softly, you have changed. I suppose so. I stood up. When I reached the door, her voice came from behind me. Thank you. I raised a hand without turning back. I pushed open the tea room door, and the cold air of the corridor rushed at my face. Another death trigger solved. As for the rest, I had to move faster. Over the next 3 days, I did something the entire circle could not understand. I sold cars. I listed all 5 sports cars on a used car resale platform. The Pagani Zana was listed at 18 million. The Bugatti Chiron at 23 million. The Ferrari LaFerrari, 15 million, plus 2 Lamborghinis. Altogether, the total value came to 6 to 4 million. I listed them at 20% off, for 51 million. Qinfeng watched me do it from the side. His glasses nearly slid off the bridge of his nose. Mr. Lin, are you short on money? No. Then why are you doing this? Because I do not feel like driving them anymore. He opened his mouth, then swallowed the rest of his words. Less than 2 days after the cars were listed, they all sold. 51 million landed in my account. Looking at the payment notification on my phone, I felt pretty good. Then I opened a real estate agency app and listed the 3 shops under my name in one vacation villa as well. The news spread faster than I expected. On the 3rd night, my father called. Come home. 2 words, not a single extra punctuation mark. Lin Zhenbang, founder and chairman of Ling Group, 62 years old. His hair was graying, his eyes sharp as a hawk. In the original novel, he was the classic case of a strong father with a worthless son. He himself was shrewd and capable, but he had produced a useless son, the original owner. In the end, That sun dragged him down with him. When I got home, he was sitting in the mahogany chair in his study. A pot of Tiguanyan tea sat on the desk, steam curling upward. I sat down. You sold your cars? 5 of them. 5. And the properties? Listed 2. He picked up his teacup, blew on it, took a sip, and when he set it down, the bass struck the desk with a dull sound. Tell me, did you cause some trouble outside? No. Gambling? No. Did someone get leverage over you? Dad, truly. No. He stared at me. Those eyes had seen too much, and no light could get past them. Then explain it. His voice dropped. Why has my son suddenly started selling off assets like a beaten dog with nowhere to go? I pressed my back against the chair and considered my words. Dad, have you heard of Zhou? The one in New Energy? Yes. What do you think of his company's prospects? Somewhat interesting, but its foundation is unstable. It will not turn the world upside down in 3 to 5 years. He gave a cold snort. What? Are you afraid of him? I am not afraid of him, but I think there is no need for us to go against him. Who wants to go against him? Brother Huanyu. When I said that name, I watched my father's expression closely. His brow moved slightly, but he soon regained his calm. What about Huanyu? He is pushing certain business moves against Zhou. I do not want to be involved. My father put down the teacup and leaned back a little. Since when did you become this cautious? Since I realized being careless could get me killed. But I could not say that. I have figured some things out lately. I said, our family's foundation is in real estate and finance. There is no need to force our way into new energy. The risk is too high, and the returns are not proportional. My father's eyes changed. It was not the look of someone convinced. It was pure surprise. He had probably never heard his son say words like risk and return ratio before. The original owner's vocabulary only included, I will kill him. And do you know who my father is? Silence lasted more than 10 seconds. I will not interfere with the cars, he finally said. But do not touch the properties for now. It will sound bad if word gets out. Fine. I stood and walked to the study door. He called me back again. Shen. I stopped. Your marriage arrangement with the Su family. Your mother approved it before she passed. Are you really calling it off? I turned back. There was something in his expression. It was not anger. It was closer to exhaustion. Mom would understand, I said. He did not speak again. After I left the study, the corridor lights were dim yellow. A family photo hung on the wall. My father, my mother, and me at 5 years old. My mother had died when the original owner was 12. In the photo, she smiled gently, holding little Lin Shen's hand. The original novel had never mentioned this photo. I stood in front of it for a while, then turned, went downstairs, got into the car, and shut the door. Qin Feng, help me look into something. Go ahead. Lin Huanyu's personal account flows for the past 6 months. Can you get them? In the rearview mirror. Qin Feng's face flickered in the shadows. Mr. Lin, this is not exactly compliant. I did not ask you to make it compliant. I asked whether you could get them. He was silent for 3 seconds. I will try. The car started and merged into the night traffic. I leaned back in the rear seat, watching neon lights stream past the window. In the original novel, Lin Shen had never suspected Lin Huanyu. Not once. He treated this cousin as the person closest to him, obeying every word, willing to charge through fire for him. Only at the very end, when the iron bars shut in front of him, did he finally see the truth in Lin Huanyu's smile. But that Lin Shen was gone. The one sitting in this car now was me, a reader who had finished the entire book. I knew the ending better than anyone, so I did not need to win. I only needed not to lose. Chapter 4. The Industry Summit was held 4 days later. The venue was Hall A at the International Convention Center. In the original novel, this summit was a crucial turning point. Under Lin Huanyu's instigation, the original owner stood in front of more than 300 industry figures and publicly mocked Zhu Yang's new energy project as a toy for scamming investors. He even said, a poor family's kid like you thinks he deserves to sit at the same table as me? The media present recorded that sentence, and it spread through the entire business circle from then on. Zhu Yang did not merely dislike Lin Shen anymore. He began to hate him. And in the book, Zhu Yang hating someone was a steamroller with no brakes. So today, I came to this summit with only one purpose. Do absolutely nothing. When I signed in, the staff told me my seat was in Section C, 3rd row. I glanced at the seating chart. Zhu Yang was in Section A, front row. Far enough away. I was about to go find my seat when a hand landed on my shoulder. Shen. What a coincidence. Lin Huanyu wore a dark green suit, his hair immaculate, his smile warm. Brother Huanyu. I nodded. I spoke with the organizers. And had your seat changed to Section A, he lowered his voice. Zhu Yang will be sitting right beside you. I looked at his smiling face, and a chill ran through me. This was exactly how it went in the original novel. Shove the two of us together to create friction, then wait for the sparks to explode. No need, I said. Section C is fine. It is quiet there. Come on, do not be like that. He patted my shoulder. You are a member of the Lin family. What would it look like, sitting in the back? I have already changed it. Come on. His hand slid down from my shoulder, his fingertips giving my back a light push. It felt natural, affectionate, and very hard to refuse. I cursed inwardly. Section A, front row. Sure enough, my seat was beside Zhu Yang. Only one empty seat separated us. When I sat down, Zhu Yang was already there. He glanced at me. I gave him a nod. Expressionless, he looked away. The summit began. Someone on stage was presenting a trend analysis report. The PowerPoint slides flipped by one after another. The data was so dry it was suffocating. I was just about to close my eyes and rest, when the host voice suddenly rose. Next, we invite our guests to begin an open discussion on the new energy investment sector. First, let us invite Mr. Lin Shen of Lin Group. Mr. Lin, what is your view on Mr. Zhu Yang's Qingyuan new energy project? Every eye in the room turned to me. Zhu Yang turned as well. There was no hostility in his gaze, but there was something unmistakable there, readiness. He was waiting for me to attack. He might even have prepared his counterattack already. I turned on the microphone in front of me. Good day, everyone. My voice carried through the speakers across all of Hall A. Regarding the Qingyuan new energy project, I will say only one thing. More than 300 pairs of eyes fixed on me. Lin Group is withdrawing from all bidding this year. In the new energy sector, the whole room went silent. Not silent for a beat or two, but as if someone had pressed pause. I could hear the air conditioner humming. The future of this sector is clear, I continued. But our strengths do not lie here. Rather than forcing our way in to grab a slice, we should leave the opportunity to more specialized teams. Mr. Zhu's project is heading in the right direction. Personally, I think highly of it. I turned off the microphone. The silence lasted 3 seconds, then the entire venue erupted like boiling water. Murmurs surged up from every direction. From the corner of my eye, I caught a few faces. Zhou Kai's mouth hung open, and the mineral water bottle in his hand was crushed out of shape. Several industry seniors looked at one another, their expressions caught between shock and confusion. Lin Huanyu, sitting in the second row, still wore that smile, but the light in his eyes had changed. Like a dark current suddenly churning beneath a lake. Zhu Yang turned and looked at me in silence for a long while. Mr. Lin. His voice was very low, audible only to the two of us. What exactly are you doing? Cutting your own profit. No one gives up profit without a reason. Then consider me a man with reasons. I stood and straightened my suit. I nodded to the host and walked out of Hall A. There was no one in the corridor. My footsteps echoed across the marble floor. As I neared the elevator, my phone vibrated. It was a WeChat message from Lin Huanyu. Little cousin, what did you mean by what you said today? I typed 2 words. The truth. He sent a smiling emoji, then another message. Were you threatened by Zhu Yang's people? I did not reply. The elevator arrived, and I stepped inside. I pressed the button for the underground garage. The instant the elevator doors closed, I let out a breath. My palms were slick with sweat, not because I was nervous, but because I knew that from today on, Lin Huanyu would no longer see me as a useful pawn. He would start seeing me as a problem that needed solving. And anyone Lin Huanyu treated as a problem, in the original novel, ended up no better than someone crushed by Zhu Yang. I wiped the sweat from my palms and took out my phone. I opened my chat with Qin Feng. Did you find it? 3 minutes later, he sent back a file. I opened it. Lin Huanyu's private account records from the past 6 months. Every transaction was laid out clearly. I scrolled down and stopped on the 3rd page. 3 months ago, there was an 8 million transfer. The recipient was an offshore company. The name of that offshore company had appeared in chapter 87 of the original novel. It was the shell company Lin Huanyu used to transfer Lin Group assets. Chapter 87 was only 3 chapters before the Lin family collapsed. He had already begun, even earlier than in the original, before I could even digest that information. Qin Feng called early the next morning. Mr. Lin, something has happened. His voice was steady, but he was speaking twice as fast as usual. Speak. Add for this morning. Someone posted a set of screenshots on a business forum and several financial self-media accounts. They show an internal financial report from Ling Group, claiming you privately misappropriated $46 million in company funds. I sat on the edge of the bed barefoot, the carpet fibers pricking the soles of my feet. The report is fake, I said. I checked it. The format and official seal are well forged. Without a detailed audit, it will be hard to tell. The news has spread. By 7, every major finance group was sharing it. The stock price will be affected at the open. I closed my eyes for a second. Chapter 45 of the original novel. In the original, this happened later. It was a precise strike against Lin Shen from Zhu Yang's camp. But Zhu Yang had no conflict with me now. So, who did this? There was only one answer. I got dressed and headed out. By the time I reached the company, several reporters were already waiting at the entrance. I ignored them. From the underground garage, I took the elevator straight to the 43rd floor. I pushed open the conference room door. 7 or 8 people were already seated inside. All of them were board members of Ling Group. My dad sat at the head of the table, his face like a sheet of iron. Lin Huanyu sat to his right, looking grave. Lin Shen is here. Lin Huanyu stood up and pulled out a chair for me. Sit. Do not panic yet. I sat down. Go on. My dad's voice sounded like sandpaper dragged over an iron pipe. I looked around at the 7 or 8 faces. Some were anxious. Some were scrutinizing me. And some were gloating. The report is forged, I said. It is forged just because you say so. A director in his 50s spoke up. 46 million is no small sum. We need an audit. Then audit it. I unlocked my phone and cast a folder onto the conference room's large screen. These are all the private accounts under my name, with complete transaction records from the past year. Can Feng organize them for me last night, I said. Every incoming and outgoing payment can be verified, and none of them overlap with the company's accounts. The conference room went quiet for a few seconds. Then I switched to the second file. This is an analysis of the forged report's original formatting. I pointed at several red marked spots on the screen. The official seal number uses last year's old version. It was replaced this March. The header format for internal documents is wrong too. The current version uses 12-point bold Sim-Sun font. This one uses 11-point Microsoft Yae. Then I switched to the third file. I asked Qin Feng to trace the screenshot's original posting IP address. A string of numbers and an address appeared on the screen. I did not read them aloud, but I slowly shifted my gaze toward Lin Huanyu. He sat there, his expression unchanged, but his right hand, the right hand resting on the tabletop, had a faint tremor in the ring finger. It pointed to an online PR firm. I withdrew my gaze and looked at my dad. I have already had legal collect the evidence. As for who hired this company, that will become clear once the audit results come out. The air in the conference room turned thick. Lin Huanyu picked up the glass of water in front of him and took a sip. When he set it down, a faint bitter smile touched the corner of his mouth. It is good that Lin Shen can prove his innocence, he said, his tone sincere. But this has already damaged the company's reputation. I suggest we still launch a third-party audit to give the public an explanation. Agreed, I said. My dad looked at me, then at Lin Huanyu. Audit it, he said. Results in 3 days. Meeting adjourned. People filed out one after another. When I reached the door, I slowed my steps and let Lin Huanyu leave first. As he passed me, he patted my shoulder. Rough day, little cousin. I gave a small smile. Not at all, Brother Huanyu. He left. I stood at the conference room door, watching his back disappear at the end of the corridor. The spot on my back where he had patted me felt as if a layer of frost had formed over it. 3 days later, the third-party audit report came out. Lin Shen was innocent, but during the audit, the auditors found another irregularity. A company procurement payment moved through 3 layers of related party transactions before finally flowing into an offshore company. The department responsible for that procurement was the Strategic Investment Department under Lin Huanyu. The amount was not huge, 23 million, but the trail led to the same shell company I had seen in the account records. The board erupted. Lin Huanyu explained it at the emergency meeting. That money was a normal transfer of strategic reserve funds. The paperwork was complete. There were only flaws in the process. His explanation was professional, and the logic was airtight. Most directors chose to believe him for now. But my dad, the way he looked at Lin Huanyu changed just a little, like a fine crack appearing in a pane of glass. It had not shattered yet, but the crack was there. That was enough. I did not need to flip the table now. I only needed that crack to exist. The rest, time would finish for me. After the audit storm passed, I sped up the sale of my shares. Ling Group was a publicly listed company. I personally held 12% of its shares. Based on its market value at the time, they were worth about $2.6 billion. But I could not dump them all at once. That would trigger market panic and send the stock price plunging. I would not get a good price either. Qin Feng helped me contact a sovereign wealth fund in Singapore. They were very interested for a simple reason. Zhu Yang's new energy project was growing explosively. The entire related industrial chain was being pulled upward. Although Ling Group was not in the new energy sector, its financial division had deep cooperation with Zhu Yang's suppliers. Riding that momentum, its stock price rose 15%. My public show of goodwill towards Zhu Yang at the summit was interpreted by the market that Ling Group was optimistic about new energy, which pushed expectations even higher. In other words, my act of flattering Zhu Yang actually helped drive up my stock price. Sometimes life's absurdity is that precise. The Singapore fund made an offer, $3.1 billion, a 19% premium. I accepted. The transfer would be completed in 3 tranches, 1 week, 2 weeks, and 1 month later. The night we signed, I sat alone on the balcony, drinking beer. The buildings along the skyline glittered with dense rows of lights. $3.1 billion. At the $50 million from selling my cars and the other scattered assets, and the cash in my hands was already close to $3.6 billion. Enough. No matter what country I went to, that money was enough to live several lifetimes. My phone rang. Zhou Kai. Lin Shen, are you busy? His voice carried a rush of excitement as he said, there is a new nightclub opening this weekend. Top tier. I booked a booth. Are you coming? No. Come on, don't be like that. Tons of people are coming. And he lowered his voice. Zhu Yang's girlfriend will be there too. That model named Lin Wan. I am planning to teach her a lesson. My fingers tightened around the beer can. Lin Wan, the key figure in chapter 53 of the original novel. Zhu Yang's girlfriend. In the original, Zhou Kai got drunk at a nightclub and harassed Lin Wan. Zhu Yang's people broke 3 of his ribs. Zhu Yang used that incident to ruin Zhou Kai's family business. And while he was at it, he pinned on Lin Shen the charge that he had let his men harass women. Zhou Kai, listen to me. My voice was not loud, but I bit out every word clearly. Lin Wan, do not touch the people around her, the places she goes, or anything she drinks. Stay away from all of it. Why, isn't she just? Do you believe that if you touch her, your dad's construction projects will be investigated within 3 days? The other end of the line went quiet. Lin Shen, are you trying to scare me? I am trying to save you. I hung up and leaned back into the lounge chair. The beer can already had a dent crushed into it by my hand. Zhou Kai was not smart, but he truly was loyal enough to the original Lin Shen. In the original novel, even while his ribs were being broken, he was still shouting, I am Lin Shen's brother. You just wait. In the end, that loyalty destroyed him and dragged the original Lin Shen down with him. I was not sure whether he would listen to me, but that was all I could do. The weekend passed. Zhou Kai did not go to the nightclub. He later told me that he stayed home that night and played games until dawn. His hand speed hit a new record. I said, congratulations. Another death trigger had been snuffed out, and yet I knew the speed at which I was putting them out was being overtaken by the speed at which Lin Huanyu was creating new problems. 2 days later, Qin Feng sent a message. Mr. Lin Huanyu has recently been buying up large amounts of Ling Group's floating shares. I looked at the screen. He was buying shares. I was selling shares. 1 in, 1 out. He thought I was retreating. He thought I was giving up. What he did not know was that I was not giving up. I was stripping the valuables off a sinking ship. Then I would stand on the shore and watch it sink. And he was speeding up his work of moving things onto the ship. I locked the screen and opened my laptop, then started looking up Singapore's long-term residence visa policies. Chapter 7. Lin Huanyu makes his move. There were still 2 weeks before the 3rd tranche of my shares was transferred. He called an extraordinary shareholders meeting. There was only one item on the agenda. Remove Lin Shen from his position as executive director and have Lin Huanyu take over. He had already gathered enough votes. During the period when I kept reducing my holdings, he used related companies and several small shareholders he had lobbied to pull together more than 51% of the voting rights. When the news came, I was eating breakfast. Qin Feng stood beside the dining table and read the entire email aloud. Mr. Lin, how do you plan to respond? I took a bite of fried egg. The yolk spilled out and soaked into the edge of my toast. I will not respond. Behind Qin Feng's glasses, a flicker of shock flashed by. Mr. Lin, if he wants a meeting, let him hold one. I wiped my mouth. I will vote in favor. Qin Feng's mouth opened slightly, then closed again. He had followed me for 2 years, and had already learned to choose silence between confusion and questioning. The shareholders' meeting was set for 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. I arrived 5 minutes early. More than a dozen people sat in the conference room. Major shareholders, minor shareholders, independent directors, legal representatives. Lin Huanyu sat midway down the long table, wearing a custom gray suit. His tie was knotted with flawless precision. When he saw me come in, something flashed in his eyes. I smiled at him and sat down in my seat. My dad didn't come. He'd already said he was abstaining. I am old now. Let the young people handle it themselves. When he said that over the phone, his voice sounded like a dry branch snapping. The meeting began. Lin Huanyu stood and stated his reasons. Lin Shen's behavior has been abnormal in recent months. He has sold off personal assets and company shares on a large scale, causing market unease, while his management style has become passive. He has voluntarily abandoned multiple core bidding projects and is no longer fit to continue serving as executive director. He spoke smoothly. Every point was backed by data. Every argument struck where it hurt. I sat there, watching his lips open and close. These words, in the original novel, would have been spoken by Zhu Yang, but now, the one saying them was my cousin. Statement complete. The vote began. In favor. The first small shareholder raised his hand. In favor. The second. In favor. The third. One after another. The corners of Lin Huanyu's mouth lifted slightly. Then it was my turn. Every gaze gathered on me. In favor, I said. A stir ran through the conference room. Some people whispered to each other. Some stared with wide eyes. Lin Huanyu stared at me. Lin Shen. His voice slowed. Are you sure? Sure. I spread my hands. You are right. I really am not suited to manage things lately. You do it. His eyes narrowed. It was not happiness. He was searching my words for a trap. But he could not find one, because there was no trap. The voting result. 73% in favor. Lin Huanyu officially took over as executive director of Lin Group. Meeting adjourned. The crowd moved out. Someone patted Lin Huanyu on the shoulder and congratulated him. Some looked at me with sympathy. Others looked at me with contempt. I did not care. I picked up my bag and walked out of the conference room. At the end of the corridor was a floor-to-ceiling window. I stood in front of it for a while, then called my dad. It is over. His voice was hoarse. It is over? Huanyu took over. Silence, Dad. There is something I can tell you now. Speak. My 12% stake was transferred in 3 tranches to Singapore's Zhou fund. The total price was 3.1 billion. There was no sound on the other end. 3.1 billion, I repeated. But in 3 months, the actual value of those shares may not even reach 1 billion. What do you mean, Dad? I transferred a billion to your personal account. The password is Mom's birthday. A long silence followed. I could hear his breathing, heavy and uneven. I cannot handle the company's affairs anymore, I said. But no matter what happens, you will not be short of money. His breathing turned sharp. How do you know? In 3 months, I'll know. Lin Shen, Dad. My voice softened. Take care of yourself. I hung up. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window and looked out at the city. The sun was setting. Light reflected off the glass curtain walls of the skyscrapers and dyed the corridor orange-red. The phone in my pocket vibrated again. Qin Feng. Mr. Lin. The first payment from Zhou Fund has arrived. I turned off the screen and put the phone back in my pocket. I turned toward the elevator. The second the doors began to close, I saw Lin Huanyu coming from the direction of the conference room. He saw me through the narrowing gap between the elevator doors. For one instant, his expression went blank, like a hunter realizing the prey he had chased for so long had somehow slipped out of the cage long ago. The doors closed. The elevator descended. The numbers ticked down one by one. 42, 41, 40. I leaned against the elevator wall and closed my eyes. Goodbye. Lin Group. Chapter 8. The flight was booked for 10 days later. One way to Singapore. In the days that remained, I started packing. Calling it packing was generous. There was not much to pack. The original Lin Shen's mansion was full of luxury goods. The walk-in closet was bigger than my entire rented room in my last life. But none of that was mine. I packed only one suitcase. A few changes of clothes, a laptop, my passport, a stack of printed bank documents, and that family photo. I took it down from the wall in the corridor, wrapped it in a shirt, and placed it at the bottom of the suitcase. On the 7th day, I went to the cemetery. The original Lin Shen's mother was buried at Songbai Garden in the north of the city. The tombstone was engraved with the words, "Beloved Mother, Chen Shulin." Beside it lay a bouquet of lilies that had already withered. I did not know who had left them there. I crouched down and cleared away the dead flowers. Then I bought a fresh bouquet from a roadside flower shop and set it down. 13 white lilies. I stood in front of the tombstone for a long time. Sunlight filtered through the gaps between the pine trees, casting mottled spots of light across the stone. "Annie," I said silently, "I am not your son, but I will live well in his place." Wind swept through the pines, rustling softly through the branches. On the way down the hill, I got a call from Suwan. "I heard you are leaving. Your sources are pretty good," Qin Feng told me. She paused. "Can we meet?" We met at a milk tea shop by the street. Suwan was no longer as tense as she had been the first time we met. She wore jeans and a white t-shirt, her hair tied in a ponytail. In her hands, she held a cup of mango pomelo sago. "Are you really leaving?" she asked. "Yes." "Why?" I thought for a moment. "Because if I stay here, something will go wrong sooner or later." "What kind of thing?" "The kind I cannot explain." She lowered her head and stirred her straw. "The old you would never have run, even if it killed you. The old me was an idiot." She gave a small laugh. It was not mocking. It was very light. A little helpless. "Do you know, the day we called off the engagement, I went home and cried all night. I froze. Not because I was sad." She lifted her head, her eyes bright. "Because I was happy. I felt like I was finally free. But I could not quite believe it. How could that Lin Shen suddenly let me go? I thought it was a trap. I thought you were waiting to watch me make a fool of myself. But after waiting for a month, nothing happened." She poked the mango pieces at the bottom of the cup with her straw. "Only later did I realize you had truly changed." "Not changed," I said. "It was like a different person had taken your place." She thought I was joking and shook her head with a smile. I smiled too. I did not explain. When we came out of the milk tea shop, the sky was already dark, and the streetlights had come on. Amber lights spread across the road as I walked toward the parking lot. Halfway there, at the intersection ahead, someone was leaning against a black sedan. Zhu Yang. He was not wearing a suit, just a black turtleneck sweater. Both hands were tucked into his trouser pockets. When he saw me, he straightened. "I need to speak with you." It was not a request. It sounded more like a notice. I stopped in front of him. Night wind poured in from the alley, carrying the chill of late autumn. "I looked into everything you have done these past 3 months." He began, speaking slowly, one sentence at a time. "You withdrew from the bidding and called off your engagement. You sold off all your personal assets. You handed control of the company to your cousin." He looked at me. "What are you afraid of?" "You think I am afraid? Every step you have taken is a retreat. A man holding billions in assets is retreating like mad. Either it is fear, or..." He paused. "You have seen something no one else can see." I said nothing. "Your cousin," he continued. "The first thing he did after taking over was launch a leveraged buyout worth $3 billion. The target is a new energy midstream company in the central China region." I knew. Chapter 101 of the original novel. Lin Huanyu's masterpiece. He thought he was playing a grand game, using high leverage to acquire a company upstream in the supply chain, to choke off Zhu Yang's supply channels. But what he did not know was that the midstream company's financial data had been dressed up. Its real debt-to-asset ratio was far beyond the figures on its reports. This acquisition would blow up within 3 months of closing and collapse Lin Group's cash flow. In the original novel, the acquisition was completed under Lin Shen's name, because Lin Huanyu manipulated things from behind the scenes and made the original Lin Shen take the blame. Now, Lin Shen was no longer on the board. Lin Huanyu had personally stepped in and signed his own name. You knew this acquisition would have problems. Zhu Yang's tone was not asking. I looked at him. "Mr. Zhu, let me give you one piece of advice. That midstream company, do not touch it either." His brow lifted slightly. "You are protecting me. I am protecting your money." He was silent for a long time. The streetlight cast sharp-edged shadows across his face. "Lin Shen," he finally said, "what exactly are you?" "Someone who wants to retire." I walked around him toward the parking lot. After a few steps, his voice came from behind me. "About that company, I have already had people start investigating it. If what you said is true..." I stopped, but did not turn back. "If it is true, then you have done me a huge favor." "I do not need you to owe me," I said. but you will get it anyway. I kept walking, started the car, and drove into the night. In the rearview mirror, Zhu Yang's figure grew smaller and smaller, until it dissolved among the streetlights and the silhouettes of roadside trees. 3 days left, in 3 days, I would say goodbye to everyone in this book. The next afternoon, the storm arrived. Ling Group stock opened for afternoon trading, and within 30 minutes, it had fallen 11%, triggering a temporary trading halt. The reason? The Central China Midstream Company's actual controller had fled overnight, taking the last liquid funds from the company's accounts with him. He left behind an empty shell and a pile of commercial acceptance bills that could not be paid. And Ling Group had just completed its acquisition of 6 to 7% of that company's equity. Of the $3 billion acquisition price, $1 billion had been borrowed through leveraged financing. Once the news broke, banks and financial institutions collectively demanded early repayment. Ling Group's funding chain snapped. I sat in the living room of my apartment. Financial news scrolled across the television. The anchor's voice was urgent yet controlled. The screen cut to an exterior shot of Ling Group Tower. Reporters and retail investors who had rushed over after hearing the news crowded around the entrance. My phone kept vibrating. Zhou Kai. Former colleagues. All kinds of unknown numbers. I answered none of them, until one name appeared. Lin Huanyu. It rang 15 times. I did not press answer. But he would not give up. He hung up and called again, over and over. On the fourth call, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Lin Huanyu stood outside. His suit was wrinkled. His tie was crooked. His hair was no longer immaculate, with loose strands falling over his forehead. He was pressing the doorbell, while pounding the door with his other hand. Lin Shen, open the door. I stood inside, watching him through the door. His voice went from steady to urgent, then from urgent to hoarse. Lin Shen, I know you are in there. Listen to me. There is still a chance for the company. As long as you step forward, you still have connections in the industry. I opened the door. He froze for a second, then strode inside. He grabbed my arms with both hands. His nails dug into my arms. I looked down. His knuckles had gone white. Blue veins stood out. You knew. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice trembling. You knew that company had problems. You knew all along. Yes, the single word dropped, and his entire body went rigid. You knew. His voice rose. You knew. And you did not stop me. Why would I stop you? He let go. He took one step back. The problems with that company should have shown up during due diligence, I said. Either you did not check, or you checked and did not care. That was your judgment. You did this on purpose. His lips were shaking. You handed the company to me on purpose. You knew it was a trap. You were waiting for me to jump in. I gave you the company, because I did not want to run it anymore. You lied to me. When did I ever lie to you? His words caught in his throat. I looked at him. This man had spent 10 years laying his plans in the original novel. He used the original Lin Shen's recklessness as firewood, and Zhu Yang's rage as the bellows. He heated the Lin family's pot until it boiled. In the end, he carried off the whole feast. But now, the firewood was gone, and the flames had reached him instead. In just a few seconds, his eyes went through 3 stages. First came anger, pure, scorching anger. His eyes were threaded with red. The veins at his temples throbbed. Then came confusion. He was desperately retracing everything, going back over every event of the past 3 months. My concessions, my silence, my exit, trying to find the clue he had missed. Last came fear. That fear was like blood, draining from his face. His face turned pale. You set me up, he said, his voice very soft, as if talking to himself. I did not set you up, I said. I just stopped wanting to be the knife in your hand. His knees bent. He did not kneel, but that bend looked more wretched than kneeling. He gripped the doorframe. Help me, he said. I cannot. Lin Shen, everything you wanted is yours now. The company, the shares, the chairman title, all yours. I stepped back and put my hand on the doorknob. Enjoy it. I began to close the door. His hand blocked it. You cannot leave. The whole family, your father. My father has the money I left him. His pupils contracted sharply. In that instant, he understood everything. I had not been driven out. I had jumped ship early, and he was the one standing on deck until the very end, waiting to be swallowed by the sea. I had pushed his hand off the door, and it closed. A dull thud came from outside, like someone's body sliding down the door and landing on the floor. Then came a long silence. After that, laughter. Broken, hoarse laughter, as if something were stuck in his throat. I stood inside the door. listening to that sound until it finally disappeared. I went back to the living room, picked up my phone and called my dad. This time, he answered quickly. I saw the news. His voice was surprisingly calm. To billion. The 1 billion you gave me was for this day. Yes. He was silent for a long time. Then he said one thing. His voice very quiet. So quiet I almost had to press the phone to my ear to hear it. You little brat, he hung up. I put the phone down. I walked out onto the balcony. The night wind was bone cold. In the distance, the lights of Ling Group Tower were still on, like a candle about to burn out. I gave it one last look, then turned back inside. I closed the curtains and packed my suitcase, leaving it by the entryway. My flight was at 9 tomorrow morning. Time to sleep. The airport security line was not long, but I walked slowly, not because I could not bear to leave, but because one wheel on my suitcase kept catching. After security, I found a window seat in the departure lounge and sat down. Outside the window, planes lined up on the apron, waiting for the runway. November sunlight lay faintly across the concrete. There was an hour and a half before boarding. I bought a coffee, opened my phone, and news alerts came one after another. Ling Group stock plunges, over 10 billion in market value wiped out. Ling Group's newly appointed executive director, Huanyu, suspected of related party transactions. Securities regulator intervenes in investigation. Sources familiar with the matter revealed. Major due diligence failures in Ling Group's leveraged buyout case. Relevant responsible parties may face criminal prosecution. I swiped past the news. A WeChat message popped up. Zhou, I finished investigating the midstream company you mentioned. The data was falsified. Its debt ratio exceeds 300%. I typed 2 words. I see. Zhou, a case has been opened against your cousin. I did not reply. A minute later, he sent another message. Zhou, you saw through everything from the start. You withdrew from the bidding, gave up the company, and sold your shares. You were building yourself an escape route, and you were letting him walk into a dead end by himself. I stared at the screen for a while, then typed. You are overthinking it. I am just lazy. Send. He sent an ellipsis, then another message. Zhou, Ling Group's financial division. I am preparing to acquire it. The offer will be fair. As for your father, I will not make things difficult for him. I read that message 3 times. In the original novel, when Zhou acquired Ling Group, he cleaned out the Lin family from top to bottom. Lin Zhenbang was driven into the hospital. The original Lin Shen received notice of his father's critical condition in the detention center. But that was the original novel. In that version of the story, Lin Shen spent 6 months fighting Zhou to the bitter end. The two sides built up too much hatred. Now, there was no hatred. I had not splashed wine on him. I had not mocked him for being poor or stolen his project. I had not touched anyone around him. I had even helped him avoid a trap. So he gave my father a way out. I replied with 4 words. Thank you, take care. He did not reply again. I locked the screen. I took a sip of coffee. Bitterness spread at the root of my tongue, mixed with a faint roasted aroma. The announcement sounded. Passengers traveling to Singapore, please note, your flight is now boarding. I stood up, dragging my suitcase toward the boarding gate. Halfway there, my phone vibrated again. A WeChat message from Zhou Kai Lin Shen. You really left. The news says something happened to the company. That cousin of yours is under investigation. You are not coming back to check. I sent back a voice message. Stay out of it. Just play your games. He sent a crying face, then added, I will visit you in Singapore someday. I sent back come. Then I switched my phone to airplane mode. At the boarding gate, I handed over my passport and boarding pass. The staff member glanced at them, tore off the stub, and handed them back with a smile. Have a pleasant journey. Thank you. I walked onto the jet bridge. The floor of the jet bridge had a slight slope. My suitcase rumbled along behind me. At the cabin door, the flight attendant guided me to my seat, first class. By the window, I sat down. Before putting my suitcase into the overhead bin, I opened it. I took out the thing wrapped in a shirt. In the family photo, my mother was smiling, holding the hand of a 5-year-old boy. My dad stood on the other side, his suit crisp, his expression stern, but with a trace of tenderness at the corner of his eyes that he could not hide. I brushed my fingers over the surface of the photo, then slipped it into the pocket in front of my seat. The plane began to taxi. The roar of the engines came from beneath the wings. The seat trembled slightly. Outside the window, the terminal slowly fell behind. We accelerated down the runway. The force pressed me back into the seat, and then the wheels left the ground. The city tilted. High-rises became building blocks. Roads became lines. The river became a curving silver ribbon. I saw the direction of the CBD. Ling Group Tower stood among the cluster of buildings, like a gray toothpick, growing smaller. And farther away, the plane passed through the clouds, and for an instant, everything outside the window turned white. Then the white parted, revealing endless blue. Pure blue. Clean blue, with no story in it at all. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. So many images flashed through my mind. Zhu Yang's wary gaze at the Chamber of Commerce banquet. Su Wan's reddened eyes when she said thank you. The 3 seconds of silence at the industry summit. My dad's voice over the phone, calling me a little brat. Lin Huanyu's horse laugh as he leaned against the door. None of these scenes existed in the book. They were moments an outsider who had barged in, had lived into being. The original story would continue. Zhu Yang would become an industry giant. Lin Huanyu would be punished by the law. Su Wan would meet someone who treated her well. My dad would use that money to live out his later years in peace. As for me, Lin Shen, the villain, the cannon fodder, the rich heir. The script had arranged for me to end disgraced and ruined, thrown behind bars. But I tore up the script. I chose another ending. The plane leveled out in the stratosphere. The cabin lights dimmed. A flight attendant passed with the meal cart and softly asked if I wanted a blanket. Yes. She handed me a dark blue fleece blanket. I covered myself with it and lowered the seat back. My phone lay there quietly in airplane mode. No messages, no news, no vibrations. Outside the window was sunlight at 20,000 feet, so bright it gleamed white. I pulled down the shade and closed my eyes. That was it. This story ends here. Not because I defeated anyone. Not because I took revenge. Because I survived. Inside a book that did not belong to me. For a character doomed to destruction, I found a way out as sleep washed over me. The corners of my mouth lifted, and a thought surfaced in my heart. Survival Guide for Transmigrated Villains Rule 1. Run whenever you can.